Hey everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Paul. If you're new here, I am a PhD student at Yale University and I run this channel with a host of other people, including Alfred and Padmore. In this particular video, I am going to be sharing a few things about what to do after your visa is approved. So a lot of people ask questions like, okay, what's next? My visa is approved. I have my visa in hand. What do I do next, right? So I'm going to be sharing some of my own experience and a few other thoughts that I have here on my notes with you. Now, number one thing that you should do after your visa is approved is to let your school know, right? So that you can begin working on some of the logistics of housing and where you stay and furniture recruitment and things like that, right? So let your school know. It's probably the first step that you should do. Of course, you're gonna share with your family and friends and people who care for you and people who helped you in the process. But it's important to let your school know that, hey, I have gotten my visa approved. I want you to know that I'm officially coming and I'm going to be enrolling. What do I need to do next from your perspective? And they are going to walk you through like securing for housing and the things that will follow after that, so that you can have a place to stay. So that's probably the very first thing that you need to do. It's as simple as that. The second thing is to find a flight. Of course, you're going to travel to the US to your host, which is going to be your school, or if you're visiting, it's your host is going to be the one hosting you, and so you need to find a way to get in there, and the way to get there is to find a flight, right? And so, how do you find a flight? Google has a lot of information about how to find flight. So I'd say just use a basic Google search. Some of my favorite airlines, they're not paying us for this. This is I don't have any relationship with them. Neither does Bailama have any relationship with them. But any of the European flights or any of the American flights, Delta, United, Air France, Brussels, any of those regular flights will be a very good option for you, in the sense that they often don't have several wait times and transits through different airports, which is good, especially if you are going to be a first-time traveler. You don't want to be stopping on the way too often. You want to be able to maybe hop in from just one or two places and then you're at your final destination. So consider that. Look on third-party websites that also sell airline tickets. Some of those ones are also out there. You can just Google third-party online companies that help find flights, and I'm sure you can find multiple ways of making that happen. You could also Google like cheap flights or ways, tricks and tips to find cheap flights, and I'm sure there's so many people who are out there with a lot of wisdom who can share with you on how to make your way through the flight system. How much would it cost? It depends on where you are coming from. So if you're coming from Ghana, Nigeria, West Africa area, it's probably going to be around $2,000 maximum. If you're coming from East Africa, South Africa, North Africa, it's probably going to be a little bit more. So think about that. And again, a return flight. You generally need a one-way flight. And I think one-way flight is enough. So the second thing is to find a flight. The third thing is pretty intuitive, which is to pack your things, right? And there's nothing much to say about this. Like, this is basically selecting the things that you think you would need, and then gathering them and putting them in a bag to get ready to travel. How much should you pack? I would say, from my experience, don't pack too much, but also don't pack too little. Because the first few weeks or days in the US, if this is your first time, you're going to be confused for a while because you don't know where the store is, you don't know how to get there, you don't know anybody, you probably don't have any bank here in the US. How do you figure out how to pay for things and all that thing? It's going to take a while for you to settle in. So having some of the basic things that you're going to need in your bag already set up is going to be a big game changer. Take toothpaste, take your toothbrush, take some footwear, take some shirts, take some shorts, take some tops, take some jackets, and something for the cold, something for the warmth. Take some food items with you, some snacks, as much as the airline would allow. If you're in Ghana and Nigeria, you're familiar with gari and you're familiar with shito and you're familiar with some of those like ready to go food, just take a few of that, put them somewhere so that in your first few days of being in America, you will be able to survive until you find something meaningful going for you. The fourth thing that I want to share is convert some USD in cash and keep them with you. Not a whole lot. I wouldn't say you should maybe take anything more than $100 or $200 cash on you while you travel, right? It's going to be very important because you're coming from a different country. You are entering the US where the currency is different. You're going to be spending in USD. You don't yet have a US bank account where you can have a card that is associated with the bank account. So, getting through with payment, which is usually through the card system, is going to be difficult for you for your first few days. It's going to take a while for you to even get a bank account. So carrying some cash with you so that you can make some emergency purchases, maybe pay for taxi, pay for, Uber or something at the airport, or if you need to drink water or, anything that you can readily get. Will be very, very helpful. So try and convert some cash with you. I came a while ago, and at the time I was coming, I had about $50 and some change. And I had, and this is going to be a good tip too. I had a bank from Ghana that allowed me to have a travel Visa card with some of my money on it. So that's probably one thing that you can also do. Talk to your bank about having a travel Visa card, a card that you can use internationally, and keep the bulk of your money that you're going to be carrying with you on that card, so that if you need to make a big purchase, you can swipe that card in the time being until you get a US account. But getting some cash with you is going to be very, very helpful. And then the fifth thing that I have here is try and spend some time with friends and with family. You never know, but this may seem basic, but it's very, very important. The US for the most part is going to be lonely for most people, partly because it's just natural to transition from one culture into another culture and slow down a little bit with making friends and meeting new people. But secondly, the US is also sort of individualized, that people are more into themselves and more protective of themselves, and they don't sort of reach out that much. And so making friends is different and difficult. But if you take the time between when you travel and after you get your visa to spend some time with your friends and your family back home, it might be the memory that you're going to look back on. Of course, nowadays it's a lot easier to stay in touch with people because there's like video calls and WhatsApp and all these other technologies that make it easier to communicate, but it's not the same as the person being there. So if you have a spouse, if you have children, if you have a fiance, girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, whatever, father, aging parents, siblings, church folks, work folks, whatever, people that you want to catch up with and create memories with, spend some time with them, take all the pictures that you can, print some of them if you want, save them on your phone, because I promise you're going to look back on those memories and cherish them. So do that, okay? And then the sixth point that I have here is, if you have some time, learn some basic life skills. And one classic example that I'm going to give is driving. Learn some basic skills like driving, right? In some parts of the world, driving is like a luxury, or having a car is a luxury. It's a sign that, you actually made it big, or you have enough money to be able to afford an alternative, higher lifestyle. But for the most part in the US, being able to drive and having a car is not luxury. It's just necessity. You just need it to be human beings. And so that's one of the things that's going to hit you as a cultural shock, depending on where in the states you're going. If you're going to a place like New York, which is very cosmopolitan and public transport is big, it may not be as much. But if you're going to like Texas and Georgia and other parts of the US, driving is going to be a big necessity. And as a student, you don't want to spend extra time out of your academic routine learning how to drive. So if you already know how to drive, you have an international license or you have a license from your home country, it will help. It will help buy you some time. So the only thing that you have to do is just maybe transfer your credentials or just go through a few basic steps to get a US driver's license. So that's going to be very helpful. If you have time, try to learn how to drive. And then perhaps the last thing that I'm going to share with you is on the D-Day of the trip, try to enjoy the trip. Don't endure the trip. If this is going to be your first time sitting the plane, is going to be, different. Some people are scared. Some people are happy and excited. I was scared for the most part. My first time of traveling, and so I couldn't really find the space in my mind to actually enjoy the trip. So if you are like me, I don't know, maybe like find some way to actually enjoy the trip. Like look around, enjoy the people around you. Be careful, but enjoy the people around you. Enjoy the process at the airport. Sit and relax. Maybe buy yourself a drink while you wait for the flight to take off. Enjoy the meal in the flight. When you get off, look around you. Enjoy. Take a deep breath. Talk to yourself. Take some notes, take some pictures, just enjoy the entire process, because you only have one time to experience your first trip. Your subsequent trips will not be your first trip. So you want to have a good memory of what your first trip looked like. And I think that taking the time to enjoy it and not enduring it is probably the best advice that I can give you on that. Yep. So those are the tips that I have for you. Number 1, let your school know that you got the visa. Number 2, find a flight. Number 3, pack some stuff, not too much, not too little. Convert some USD or look for a universal international visa card that you can use. Spend some time with your friends and your family. Learn how to drive or some other basic survival skills or life skills. And then also enjoy the trip. Don't just endure it. This is all I have for you. Look in the video description below for contact information. Send us comments, send us things, reach out to us. Let us know how you're doing on the other side of the camera. And I will see you in another video. Peace out.